You know, every once in a while, a story pops up that just completely scrambles our political expectations. And today, we're diving into one of those stories. It's a really shocking policy pivot from Donald Trump that involves veterans, mental health, and a class of drugs that's been totally off limits for more than half a century.
And boom, there it is. That's the headline that got this whole explainer started. A move to fast-track psychedelic research for our veterans. Now, this isn't just some minor policy tweak. It's a super surprising alliance of people challenging ideas that have been set in stone for a long, long time. But to really get why this is happening right now, we need to look at the crisis that's fueling the whole thing.
So, why this policy? And why now? Well, look, this decision didn't just come out of nowhere. It's a direct response to a pretty staggering national health crisis that our current methods just aren't fixing. And when you look at the numbers, wow, it's a pretty bleak picture.
Okay, let's kick things off with mental health. Right now, over 20% of women in this country are on antidepressants. Think about that for a second. That's more than 1 out of every 5. It's actually the most prescribed class of medication in the entire nation, which tells you just how massive the demand for mental health treatment really is.
So, you've got millions of people on these meds, but here's the big question. Are they even working? There's a lot of skepticism around this, with some people arguing really bluntly that nope, they just don't work. This really shines a light on how frustrated people are with our mainstream solutions. And, it gets even worse when you turn to the opioid epidemic. In 2024 alone, we're talking about more than 80,000 people dying from drug overdoses. That is just a staggering, horrible number, and it shows you how lethal this addiction crisis is as it tears through our communities. And for every one of those tragic deaths, there's an even bigger population of people who are still struggling. We're talking more than 5 million people currently addicted to opioids. This isn't just some health issue, it's a full-blown catastrophe. And that, right there, is why people are starting to look for some really radical new solutions. Okay, so you've got this mental health crisis, where the usual drugs are being questioned. And then you have this massive addiction crisis with a devastating death toll. What's the answer? Well, the conversation is now turning to something really unconventional, an answer that's been prohibited for decades.
One substance in particular is getting a ton of attention. It's called Ibogaine. It's a psychedelic, and its advocates are claiming it has this remarkable, game-changing potential to treat opiate addiction. And the success rates people are talking about, honestly, they're just mind-blowing.
Just look at the comparison here. It's night and day. On one side, you have the most prescribed drugs in the country, and people are openly questioning if they even work. And on the other side, you have Ibogaine, where they're claiming that just 1 dose can free over 80% of users from their opiate addiction. 2 doses? That number jumps to over 90%. I mean, that dramatic claim is the whole reason we're even having this conversation. All right, so we've covered the why, the crisis, and the what, this potential psychedelic solution. But the how? How did this even get on a former president's radar? Well, this might be the wildest part of the whole story.
Yeah, this wasn't some long, boring process with committees and white papers. Nope, it was super direct. The information, including those incredible statistics on Ibogaine, was sent by none other than Robert F. Kennedy Jr. directly to Donald Trump in a simple text message. And Trump's response? It came back almost instantly.
And here it is, the text message he supposedly sent back. Sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. I mean, talk about unfiltered. It just cuts right through all the usual government bureaucracy and red tape and sets this totally new course in motion. That one text message represents a massive, massive shift. So what's really important to get here is that this whole thing, which started with a text message, isn't just about research. It's a direct challenge to more than 50 years of federal law and cultural stigma around these substances. To really understand how huge this is, we got to go back in time.
And this timeline really puts it into perspective. Just look at that gap. Back in 1970, the Nixon administration passed the Controlled Substances Act, which basically slammed the door on any legal access or research into psychedelics. For over 50 years, that's been the reality. And now, all these years later, what Trump is signaling is basically the biggest federal challenge to that ban we've ever seen.
And a key part of this whole conversation, this whole reversal, is the argument that the original ban was never really about science. The perspective here is that these drugs were made illegal as a matter of politics back in the 70s, not because there was all this conclusive evidence that they were so harmful. And that viewpoint kind of reframes this new push as correcting a big historical mistake. So where does that leave us? What's the takeaway here? You've got a massive national health crisis, a solution that's been taboo for decades, and a major policy shift that happened over a text?
It's this wild collision of a modern crisis and modern communication, and it's challenging everything we thought we knew about political norms. And you have to wonder, what does this all mean for the future of medicine and policymaking? Is this the beginning of a new way of governing? One that's more direct, for sure, but maybe a lot more chaotic, too?